Hey guys, it's Cozy. Let me welcome you to episode 4, in which I flame you, who voted for me to play healer, and myself for having the poor idea to leave the decision making to you in the first place. In this Zero to Hero, what the heck is happening right now? Holy Paladin edition. In the last episode, we finally locked onto some keys that will grant us the desired gilded crest in order for some mad upgrades. However, not that successfully. We also had all the power in our hands to time a key that shouldn't be timed in the first place and fumble, which seems to be a reoccurring theme for me, so if you enjoyed that, you little nasty hate watcher, then stay tuned. But first, I will walk you through my weekly upgrades in form of the vault and the weekly time walking chest, including killing that dude that pretended to be prepared. And of course, more keys, which, little spoiler, didn't go as planned. However, before we start, you make sure to like this video right now, because you brought this dumpster fire in my life and you at least make sure more people see it. And subscribe if you haven't, I mean it's only fair at this point. Oh, not again. Alright, so first and foremost, sorry for the ending last episode, but I had to. You know how it is.
I hate you so much!
Secondly, that was actually the end of week 2 of our journey, so we have some stuff to collect before continuing on our passionate mission to hitting ground zero, sanity wise. So, first, we do have the vault. I'm mainly out here hoping for either a tier set slot or an item with either haste verse or crit verse at this point. Oh daddy, hero shoulders, which is tier set and gives both crit and haste. No verse, but leech has to count for something. Now when it comes to this week's time walking, we are talking about the Burning Crusade. It includes a time walking raid called the Fab Temple, I think.
You're teasing me!
And there you can get tons of free champ items and a quest that will give you a random hero item of the raid as well. And because that ain't enough, killing bosses in here also contributes to the weekly quest that normally would have you to do time walking dungeons. So that's 2, maybe 3 or even 17 birds with one stone at this point.
Quick maths!
Unfortunately, I did have a pretty awkward situation happening. This made me leave in disgust right away. On a serious note, I only wanted to kill 4 bosses, because I still have to take down Illidan and there's no way I'm a full clear this thing. So it was just, unlucky timing.
Awkward.
With that being said, I applied to a run that was asking for tips, got invited, and just ran past this dude without even flicking over 1 copper. Not a German by choice, but a German by heart. And our reward was kinda worth it, because we did receive yet another ring with crit haste, which again, has no verse on it, but neither does my old ring. And another ring. My hand's starting to sparkle like Post Malone's face at this point. Alright, enough with the casual stuff. Let's talk keys. Mother load 7, and just because we liked things just as rough as my father's son playdates after my dad left, we played a diabolical comp. Double Paladin, double Warrior, and a chicken. Now, smart people will instantly see this and think, oh, so no BM Hunter. That's awesome. And you are not wrong. I don't need a Bloodlust if it means another BM Hunter is waiting for a key invite. Though what didn't fill me with half as much joy was the way we were playing the first boss. Now, I know exactly what the tank was going for. Fighting the pummeler in the corner means the foot bombs won't spread too much around him, and therefore are more clustered and easy to deal with. My problem was that for the first time in forever, Blizzard's coding included height into the equation. The little bombs simply get stuck if the incline is too steep and they have to be kicked twice. But only sometimes. Though considering the comp, this went surprisingly smooth. A lot of smart pulls, good damage, and yeah, okay, I'm stalling, alright? I didn't time any keys this session, so let me bask in this before it's too late.
Bye, have a great time!
You had to do it, didn't you?
Yes.
Floodgate itself would be a pretty interesting part of this video, because not only did we have a tank leaving after too many dropped dead to easy mechanics, including that whack healer, the very key after made me realize I need a break. So we started off on the very normal pull, right? We lost it, since it's fortified, which makes sense. And your boy was pumping the healing that was required to be pumped. Now, here came my problem. The party took so much damage. So much! And stuff didn't die either. I lived pulls on plus 10 on my brew while the healer did 500k HPS, so I have no idea what happened here. We somehow managed to keep the pull alive, but already had 6 deaths. And then my sorry ass decided to dare to tap out real quick to answer a message on Discord. And I did AFK? But no worries. We need to wait anyways, cause our shaman decided to get killed by the bonfire. When I arrived at the second pull, I got lasered right away. Now, could I have kicked the dude that survived? Yeah. Could I have used bubble and survive? Sure. Did I do neither? Absolutely.
Are you stupid or something?
So I let the anger of a healer overcome me and blamed it on the lack of kicks. Which isn't wrong, since it's kinda the reason I died, but I tunneled onto HP bars instead of just paying attention to my surroundings and kick it myself. With us stacking up 9 extra deaths during the pull, I already decided in my head that I don't want to do this anymore. Disregarding kicks, the party was getting killed by so many things, including the Beyblade bots, which you really need to stay inside of in order to saw you down. We also started the pull with 3 kicks on the mage, 1 on me, and ended up with 4 on me eventually. Maybe that's the reason why I only had to do 1 mil HPS for us to live that. So I was pissed, and the tank knew. So he asked me if I'm in or I'm out. But because I didn't want to play this game anymore and I also didn't want to quit, because crippling your own sanity seems kinda addicting being a healer, my answer was, loosely. Wasn't, quote, enough for him, so the tank left instead. Bro acted like he was a godsend to this party or something. But since I was already here and I didn't have my cooldowns back for the dungeon portal, I decided to stay within a dumpster fire that is the drone and gnome infested hole of the Floodgate. Yet this time, with a party that was different. The first pull went so smooth I had to swap back to DPS tracked instead of kicks. That's how you please a healer, baby. Let me quickly mention the affix for this week too. Arguably the easiest one to deal with, as it can't mess you up unless you really try to let it happen. Many of you playing the last season maybe remember the floating balls that were seeking out enemies in order to buff them. Those got replaced as they were too unreliable with pathing. First time Blizzard cares about that thing. Now you got this orbiting inside of a nutsack which needs you to ask your teammates to touch your ball more often than you gotta be comfortable with.
But I'm not in the homo way. No homo.
However, easy 20% mastery, which is kinda mid for us, yet still some healing increase, so I'm not gonna complain. Not gonna complain was the title of this dungeon as well, because we rolled through this easily with the only problems happening at the last 2 pulls of the run. I could not have imagined how annoying the last 2 mobs as a healer are, even more so as a melee healer. Goodness me, that's a rough one. But I was in a better mood now. Look how easy the game can be. No need for struggles, no need for overpulls, just clean execution. Even gotten ourselves another hero set piece in form of hands, which is awesome because now I feel great about taking the haste crit ring from last week's vault. However, I did promise you some despair, and we continue with that. Priory of the Sacred Overpulse. Oh boy, where do I start here? In the beginning, I guess.
You're joking.
So we know how to get Carmen to use a lust first pull to get it off cooldown quickly, since you need ages to get to the first boss anyways? Yeah, we did that, but only after lust ended we pulled the mini boss. Matter of fact, we pretty much did a bigger pull afterwards than we did with the bloodlust. Be that as it may, this was a slow and steady kind of angle, which usually should work out as long as you play some trash with the mini bosses. The problem started to pile up after the first boss though. We did this bigger pull, which you usually lust, and I dare to believe that if we lusted that, we would have survived it. Unlucky. Now keep in mind, we finished the first boss with 1 casualty and managed to rack up 11 more due to either me running out of cooldowns, the tank running out of cooldowns, or people just getting 1 tap due to double casts going off at the same time. Paired with the divine toll going out from the paladins, this was a lot rougher than I expected. And again, whipping out the segue today, rougher than what I expected was the name of this dungeon, since we decided to pull bigger. And when I say we, I mean the Havoc Demon Hunter did. Casual I-beams, pet pull, such a classic. However, we did somehow survive that, which meant we were still on track for timing this key, until the tank decided to spice the miniboss up with another trash pull. Now, on so many levels, this is wrong. First, that thing easily is the most deadly thing in this dungeon, especially when it's fortified, so I wouldn't recommend playing it with any trash unless there's a bloodlust involved and you communicated it. Mainly because the pulsing AoE from Brawn Pike, as well as the extra tank damage, as well as the big Holy Nova going off whenever one of the smaller ones dies. The second reason was that we just burned through all cooldowns on the accidental mispull, so I was kinda naked. Cooldown wise. And that bricked the last hopes of timing this key. Even though we would have killed the boss in time, if it wouldn't be for the 3 deaths we had during the fight, we still would have lacked 4% trash regardless. To say I was defeated doesn't even come close to what I was feeling. A little side note as a context for the next dungeon. Whenever you make parties for pugging keys, make sure to have 2 CRs in the party, in case the only CR drops. Which brings me to the dungeon that made me lose my mind. You see, the amount of Mechagon runs in the past where the run was fine, but got completely hammered on the final boss due to people being unable to play mechanics, yeah, I just won't stop. But let's talk about it. We arrived at the final boss room with almost 9 minutes to spare, which on that level easily means you got 2 pulls. And here's why I told you to grab a second CR when making your own groups. I slept for 1 second. 1 second. I died. And that's after I called for no one to die here. And we had no one with a jumper cable or a CR. So what are the options now? 6 minutes on the clock. We could A. reset the fight by jumping down and attempting with another 5 minutes including a bloodlust. B. play the fight without a healer and manage it anyways. Or C. my favorite. Prolong the fight, wipe anyways, and then just make the second pull even tighter. And you already know what's up. This got close as hell. But even with the mage dying, we couldn't time this anymore. This felt so annoying. Yes, I did die at the worst possible timing with no CR in the party. But this was my only death this run, man. My only misstep. Now of course, there were some minutes we could have saved in order to still potentially time this, like for example, not playing the penultimate pack considering we had a rogue and a priest to skip it, or killing the pull instantly after I died. But that's just fishing for reasons. This feels so insanely bad if you were again the reason to break the key. At least now I know why so many healers died on this one. It's different whenever you have to pay attention to stuff on the ground and the health bars. Adding on top that I have to look at my buttons because I'm not too comfortable with the class yet. The worst part was that again, because of the break, I missed out on gilded crests, which means at this point I gotten about 30-ish gilded crests over the span of 4 hours. You know how bad that is? And even though I should have went to bed, taking the L, having some solid breaths and just leave it be, I couldn't. I needed to get those missing crests for my first craft. And so I did a thing. A thing that got my heart racing for 30 minutes straight, because not only was I dumb enough to apply to a brewery +8 on Fortified with a broken confidence, we also had a 3k tank that decided that playing it easy would be too easy.